The story of American newspapers of the 19th century is rooted in the commerce of ideas that was part of the fabric of the new nation. The history of American newspapers dates back to the early 18th century, when the first colonial newspapers were published. In the beginning, newspapers were a sideline for printers, but they eventually became a political force and played a role in the campaign for American independence. The First Amendment to the U.S. Constitution guaranteed freedom of the press, and the Postal Service Act of 1792 provided subsidies for the delivery of newspapers. Advances in printing technology helped editors deliver news faster. By 1850, most big city papers had installed steam presses that could print 20,000 newspapers an hour. News coming in as late as the previous evening could be typeset, run, and in a reader's hands by first thing the next morning. Newspapers came out of the Civil War with a newfound awareness of their potential. Among all adults, newspapers were cited as the most relied upon source, or tied for most relied upon for crime, taxes, local government activities, schools, local politics, local jobs, community neighborhood events, arts events, zoning information, local social services, and real estate housing. This dependence on newspapers for so many local topics sets it apart from all other sources of local news. The Internet, which was cited as the most relied upon source for 5 of the 16 topics, was a distant second to newspapers in terms of widespread use and value. Newspapers, in print and/or digital formats, are critical to the freedoms we enjoy as Americans and our way of life. As a result, newspapers serve as the fourth estate in a watchdog role over the 3 branches of government: the legislative branch, judicial branch, and executive branch. Bethlehem's newspaper history really began in 1867, when the Bethlehem Daily Times was first published. The Daily Times eventually became the Bethlehem Times beginning in 1892. The Times was considered as a North Side paper, and their headquarters was at 526 Main Street. In 1920, the Bethlehem Globe was established at 4th and Broadhead. In 1925, the 2 papers merged, becoming the Bethlehem Globe Times. This paper would serve Bethlehem as an evening or afternoon paper until 1991. At one point, the Globe Times experimented with a Saturday morning edition between 1982 and 1986. During this same period, they published a Sunday edition as well. Problems arose when management made it mandatory for subscribers to accept the new editions with their weekday package. The backlash caused many to cancel their subscriptions in protest. Daily readership declined by about 40%. This and the fact that advertising revenue was at an all-time low due to a bad economy created a real revenue crisis. The company that owned the paper shopped it around and eventually sold out to the Thompson chain. Thompson combined the Bethlehem paper with the Easton Express soon after. More than 1,400 cities and towns have lost their daily papers just in the last 15 years.